One of the most watched gun channels on the internet went quiet. Not dead, quiet. And the man who built it walked away from the upload grind without losing a single subscriber worth keeping. That man is Matt Carriker, veterinarian, father, and the face behind Demolition Ranch, a channel that turned shooting guns in a Texas field into an 11 million subscriber empire. What he did when he stepped back from that machine is not the story most people think they know. By the end of this, you'll understand exactly why Demolition Ranch didn't collapse when Matt pulled back, and why what he built next might actually be more durable than what came before. Before there was a ranch, there was a vet school. Matt Carriker did not start out as a content creator. He started out as someone who genuinely wanted to fix animals for a living. He earned his Doctor of Veterinary Medicine degree and built a real practice, the kind of career that takes years of training and doesn't leave much room for side projects. Guns were already part of his life before the camera was. He grew up around firearms, comfortable with them the way a lot of rural Texans are, not as a political statement, but as a normal feature of daily life. The channel started in 2011 as something genuinely unpretentious. Matt shot guns, talked about them in plain language, and didn't try to be anything he wasn't. No tactical posturing, no militia aesthetic. Just a guy on some land doing things that were loud and frequently absurd. He shot guns at random objects. He blew things up. He asked questions like, will a bulletproof vest actually work? And then answered them empirically, with live ammunition. It turned out that combination, genuine curiosity, no pretension, Texas setting, was exactly what a significant slice of America wanted to watch. The channel grew steadily through the mid-2010s, crossing 1 million subscribers, then 5, then 10. Each milestone felt organic because it was. Matt wasn't chasing an algorithm. He was making videos that he himself would watch. Alongside Demolition Ranch, he launched Vet Ranch, a channel where he documented animal rescue surgeries funded entirely by ad revenue and donations from viewers. Stray dogs, injured cats, animals that would have been euthanized at shelters. Matt operated on them on camera, and the audience paid for it without being asked directly. They just watched, and the views generated enough money to save hundreds of animals over several years. That dual identity, the guy who shoots things and the guy who saves things, built a community that was unusually loyal. These weren't casual subscribers. These were people who knew Matt's dogs by name, who followed his kids growing up, who cared whether the stray cat with the broken leg made it. That level of audience investment doesn't happen by accident. And if you think that was surprising, stay with me, because this next part is why the whole story matters. Nakoleving Denizan Tupiu. By the time Demolition Ranch cleared 10 million subscribers, the revenue picture was genuinely significant. Ad revenue on a gun-adjacent channel comes with complications. YouTube has historically demonetized firearms content or restricted its ad eligibility, which pushed Matt toward building income streams that didn't depend entirely on Google writing him a check. The merchandise operation at Demo Ranch became a serious business. Branded hats, shirts, and gear that the audience actually wanted, not generic merch slapped with a logo, but products tied to the identity of the channel. That store ran continuously and generated revenue completely independent of how many videos Matt uploaded in a given month. Brand deals came too, though he was selective. Gun-adjacent sponsorships, outdoor brands, companies that fit the audience rather than jarring against it. Matt was never the type to pivot to promoting energy drinks to people who came for ballistics tests. Off the Ranch, his family vlog channel, grew alongside Demolition Ranch and told a different kind of story. It showed the property, the kids, his wife Meredith, the reality of building a life on rural Texas land, while also running multiple YouTube channels, while also maintaining an active veterinary career. That channel gave the audience something Demolition Ranch never could: the person behind the explosions. The combination of those three channels created a content ecosystem with real redundancy. Demolition Ranch pulled the big numbers. Vet Ranch built emotional connection. Off the Ranch built parasocial intimacy, the sense that you actually knew this family and had a stake in how things went for them. Most creators build one of those things. Matt built all three, largely by accident, simply by documenting what his life actually looked like. That infrastructure mattered enormously when things changed. Most people who know this story stop here, but the real story starts right now. Not noting and paid. It crept in across 2022, and became undeniable by 2023. Upload frequency on Demolition Ranch dropped. Where the channel had once pushed out content at a near-weekly pace, gaps started appearing. 2 weeks between videos, then 3, sometimes a month. The comment sections noticed, the way they always do. "Where's Matt?" became a recurring question. Some viewers assumed something was wrong. Others assumed the channel was dying the slow death that takes a lot of once popular creators out. The burnout spiral, where uploads get rarer, views get lower, and eventually the creator just stops. Matt didn't spiral. What he did was more deliberate than that. He talked about it openly, which is worth noting because a lot of creators don't. He said in plain terms that the pace of production had become unsustainable for someone who also had a veterinary practice, 3 kids, a large property to manage, and a marriage he wanted to keep intact. The videos had started feeling like an obligation rather than a project. He wasn't excited to make them the way he used to be, and rather than grind through that feeling and produce content that reflected the exhaustion underneath it, he chose to stop. That's a harder call than it sounds. When your income is tied to upload frequency and your audience expects consistency, pulling back feels financially dangerous. The conventional YouTube wisdom says never go quiet. The algorithm punishes absence and audiences forget. Matt had enough data to know that wisdom wasn't entirely wrong. But here's what the comments kept asking, and here's the answer they never got, until now. The conventional wisdom was wrong, or at least, it was wrong for Matt Carriker. Demolition Ranch did not collapse during the slowdown. Videos that did go up, even after weeks or months of silence, continued to pull millions of views, not just residual traffic from old uploads. New content, posted with no algorithmic momentum, still found its audience almost immediately. A video that went up after a long gap didn't perform like a channel that had been inactive. It performed like a channel the audience had been waiting for. That's the thing about a loyal community built over more than a decade. They don't forget you in 3 weeks. They might grumble. They might post "Is he okay?" in the comments. But when the notification drops, they show up. The merchandise store kept running through all of it. Revenue from Demo.Ranch didn't depend on whether Matt uploaded that Tuesday. People who had been fans for 5 years continued buying because they identified with the brand, not just the content schedule. That's the difference between building an audience and building a community. An audience leaves when you stop performing. A community sticks around because they're invested in something larger than the last upload. The Vet Ranch channel, meanwhile, continued in a quieter form. Fewer uploads, yes, but the emotional weight of what that channel represented didn't diminish. Every video that did go up, an animal saved, a surgery that worked, reinforced the goodwill the channel had accumulated for years. What the step back revealed, in a way nothing else could have, was that the foundation Matt had built was genuinely solid. Demolition Ranch survived his absence not because of the algorithm, but because of what the channel had meant to people for years. And that's when the decision was made, the one nobody around him saw coming. Matt didn't just wait out the burnout. He rebuilt the relationship with the work. The version of Demolition Ranch that began to return through 2024 was different in one specific way. Production value went up, as upload frequency stayed moderate. Instead of shooting a simple video in an afternoon and posting it the next day, Matt started investing in larger, more elaborate concepts. The kind of videos that took real planning, multiple days of shooting, bigger setups, more expensive experiments. The kind of content that justified a longer wait because it delivered something a weekly throwaway never could. This is a strategy that very few creators make work because it requires trusting your audience to wait. It requires believing that what you're bringing them is worth the gap. For most channels, that's a gamble that doesn't pay off. For Demolition Ranch, the evidence suggested it was working. Views per video held. Comments on returns were enthusiastic rather than bitter. The audience had been trained, over more than a decade, to expect quality, and they were willing to trade frequency for it. Off the Ranch told a parallel story during this period. The family had been building out the actual ranch, the property that gives the channel its name, and documenting the process. Construction, expansion, the logistics of life on a large piece of rural Texas land. It was a different kind of content than what Demolition Ranch offered. Slower, more personal. But it kept the audience connected to Matt as a person rather than just a character who blew things up. The veterinary practice continued too. Matt never quit being a vet. He kept operating, kept seeing patients. That part of his identity was never the thing he was renegotiating. The content schedule was. What happened next is the reason this story spread across the internet. Here is the part that doesn't make it into most coverage of Demolition Ranch. The channel's architecture was always more defensible than it looked. When you watch a Demolition Ranch video, it looks like a guy having fun on his land. That's intentional. The ease is the product. But underneath it, Matt had built something with multiple revenue legs, 3 distinct channels serving different emotional needs, and an audience that was attached to him personally, rather than just to any particular content format. That combination is genuinely rare. Most creators in the gun and outdoor space built single product channels. One channel, one format, one revenue stream. When those channels hit trouble, YouTube policy changes, demonetization waves, algorithm shifts, they had no fallback. Matt had 3 channels running simultaneously, and a merchandise business that operated independently of all of them. The demonetization risk on gun content is real and has been a documented issue on YouTube for years. Matt dealt with it earlier than most creators in his space because his channel was large enough to be visible to advertisers who didn't want to appear alongside firearms content. Rather than fight that reality, he built around it. The merch store wasn't an afterthought, it was structural. A hedge against the day YouTube's ad policies made his primary income source unreliable. That foresight, whether intentional or intuitive, is what made the step back survivable. A creator who depends entirely on ad revenue cannot afford to go quiet. A creator whose merchandise store generates significant revenue even when the channel is dormant has options that others don't. Matt Carriker had options, and he used them. And if you think that was surprising, stay with me, because this next part is why the whole story matters. As of 2025, Demolition Ranch is not a cautionary tale. It is, quietly, a case study. Matt is uploading again, not at the relentless pace of his peak years, and apparently with no intention of returning to that pace. The videos are larger in scope. The gaps between them are accepted, rather than apologized for. The comment sections have shifted from asking "Where have you been?" to expressing genuine excitement when something new appears. The energy is different because the dynamic is different. This is no longer a creator grinding through an obligation. This is someone making something because they want to. Vet Ranch continues. Animals continue to be saved by the revenue that the combined Carriker operation generates. That part of the mission didn't pause during the difficult years, and it didn't stop when upload frequency dropped. The ranch itself, the actual property, is increasingly the setting for everything. Off the Ranch documents life there. Demolition Ranch shoots there. The 2 channels have always overlapped geographically, but the integration has deepened. The property is no longer just a backdrop. It's the project. It's the point. What Matt Carriker built over 15 years on YouTube is something the platform doesn't always reward. A real identity attached to a real life, in a real place, with real stakes. It's not a persona that stops working when the camera goes off. It's not a character that burns out because the character and the person are the same. When that's what you've built, the audience doesn't leave when things get quiet. They wait. The lesson from Demolition Ranch is not about upload schedules or algorithm tricks or how to monetize a firearms channel without getting demonetized, though all of those things are part of the story. The real lesson is about what survives when a creator stops performing and starts just living. Matt Carriker built something durable enough to withstand his own stepping back from it. Not many people can say that. The channel didn't need him to upload every week to stay alive, because the connection the audience had to him was deeper than any single video could create or destroy. Demolition Ranch is still here. The animals at Vet Ranch are still being saved. The family is still on the ranch that gives all of it its name. The next chapter looks like more of the same. Bigger builds, slower uploads, a channel that grows in weight even as it shrinks in frequency. So here's the question. Do you think YouTube creators have it right when they grind for consistency? Or is Matt Carriker's approach, stepping back and betting on loyalty instead of frequency, actually the smarter long game? Drop your answer below.